And Rogue have done it. They actually came back just a little bit there against the Renegades on Cobblestone. If you're just tuning in, you've picked a really good time here to catch us at the Xfinity Analyst Desk. We're going to try to make some sense of what we just saw and perhaps understand this result that was Renegades versus Rogue here in our first map of the last week of ESL Pro League online play. Now, we talked about Cadian in the pregame. We talked about what he can bring to the team, but we saw him definitely come alive here.
He did everything we talked about. He was the in-game leader, a well-structured T-side, a very dominant T-side. That's what led the comeback to be truthfully. We also saw him up, as you see right now on the screen, having some 6 shots and actually making an impact, both in the first half, but also on the T-side, which is significantly harder. And we also saw him rifle a little bit and being efficient with that one. So it's great to see Cadian showcasing everything we actually talked about before this game. A little bit surprising, I would say, that Rogue is able to pull this one back, especially after such a strong start from Renegades. But it's the dynamic of playing Cobblestone. The T side is so dominant when you get off to a good start and when you get momentum, and that's pretty much what we saw throughout this game.
Yeah, pretty much those last 3 rounds that they were able to scrape in the last 4 rounds of the first half more or less salvages the game in my eyes. Obviously, the 9-2 start that Renegades had, I thought when you kind of think to yourself, well, okay, this is kind of going into the same track that we had imagined initially.
That you imagined?
Well, yeah, I definitely imagined. So I kind of expected more out of Renegades in that sense, especially when we swapped sides. Again, yes, I could kind of understand if Rogue had issues on their CT side, necessarily not being super coordinated, or maybe just not having the individual level to stand up to the Renegades players, but kind of showed that that was not the case at all. It was more of an opposite issue, really, because you could see that Rogue, or even if they were at a deficit from an individual point of view, they were doing a really good job just being so coordinated on their T side that whenever they got into awkward situations, they were super good at trading. That was the biggest takeaway from me throughout the entire game. Rogue was just on point whenever it needed to happen. Like just immediate trades within like 2 seconds of the first frag from a Renegades player, and that's really how you gain a lot of momentum and ground as you're moving forward on the map. So I think that was massive. Obviously, Sick kind of just finding a new, a new level as we swap sides as well. Definitely a big contributor to how this game played out. But yeah, I think the big star for me obviously is Cadian, who we highlighted to start things off, which just doesn't happen often when we pick a player to watch, does it?
Like, sometimes you guys are close. Then other times, completely left field, goes the other way. But the Renegades also showed just a turbulent, if not no start there on their CT side, only grabbing 1 round in that second half, and ultimately leading to their demise there on Cobblestone. We're going to be flipping the script here and going to just a little bit of Mirage. That is the next map we're going to find ourselves on here, boys. And does that paint a different picture or tell a different story than what we just saw?
The Renegades are a fairly strong team on Mirage, and I feel they have a lot of the pieces in order to be a great Mirage team. Nifty being very versatile with the AWP, especially on the CT side, running all over the map and causing havoc with that one. On the other hand, I do believe Rogue are okay on Mirage. What we've seen from them thus far in the season have been a little bit up and down in that scenario. We see them play very well in Mirage. We also see them play very poorly on Mirage. So we don't really know what to expect in that sense. But if they show up and want to play a good Mirage against Renegades in this form right now, I would say there's a chance. We haven't really talked about it yet, but also the fact that Renegades just got back from Marseille is a little bit of a problem for them, being jet-lagged and tired as well.
There was actually a slight mix-up here, and I would take the blame, but ultimately I can't because, well, it's just not my fault. We're not going to Mirage.
We're going to Train.
We're going to Train.
I was actually thinking to myself, Trace, why did he do that?
But it wasn't me, but it kind of was me, but it wasn't at the same time.
I see.
Ultimately, Train will be where we're going, and it makes sense too because
it would be the same thing though. Like Rogue has been showing us good trains and bad trains, and Renegades are pretty decent team with trains. So just replicate what I just said and just change Mirage with Train.
It's actually a pretty good way of going about it. I would have felt more comfortable, obviously, if it had been Mirage.
Yeah.
I think obviously that's the most comfortable map Renegades have, more or less. And again, because of the up and downs from Rogue, I don't think they'd hit a high enough peak, I guess, throughout an entirety of the game to actually be able to beat Renegades on that map. Train might be a little bit different. Again, I think if they get off to, or if Rogue were the ones to get off to a similar start as what we saw in Cobblestone for Renegades, now going into the second map, I think that it's not as easy to get back into it. You don't have necessarily as dominant of a half just from the get-go. It's not as easy to play the T side on Train as it is on Cobble, or the CT side for that matter. I think it's easier to lose track of or lose control of a game on Train in that sense.
Is it?
In my eyes.
Well, there's good trains and there's bad trains, but hopefully the Renegades don't find themselves as flat-footed as they had found themselves in the second half.
What is a good train, Trace?
Thomas the Tank Engine, great train.
Yeah, that's a good train. I was thinking like training, like good physical activity.
What's a bad train then?
Bad train would be anyone that derails and perhaps runs off the track.
People who do deadlifts, with bad form.
Yeah,
Bad
I'm
train.
not about that life. Something about cardio and legs. Now we don't do all that. It's all about the exterior, posterior, and that's the way that it goes. But train is where we see the final map between Renegades and Rogue, of course. Hiko also showing some flashiness there on Cobblestone. Talk to me a little bit about what Hiko brings to the table.
Good question. He brings experience in that scenario. Hiko is a player that obviously I played with him for quite some time in Liquid, and he brings I wouldn't say stability, but he brings a calmness to the game, because he's how do you explain that? He's a one of a kind guy in that scenario, where he's not very vocal, but when he is, it actually matters when he says something. So that is a good thing, because whenever he voices his opinion, you actually think to yourself, okay, there must be something about it. But on the other hand, sometimes you kind of like want more from him. You want to voice his opinion a little bit more because you actually respect their opinion. So in that scenario, he's a one of a kind player. Whereas a lot of players these days, they have attitude and they have a meaning about everything. Where he is mature enough and experienced enough to know to pick his fights, and that's a good thing to have on a team, because he's again, a very elder guy within the scene, has been trying pretty much everything. So the main thing he brings to this team is experience and know-how of how to approach this game as a team game. That said, though, he has been dropping off a lot individually and is not in the same shape he used to be back in the Cloud9 days when you were talking to the guy every day. So, I mean, in that sense, there are better players out there individually, but there are also players out there with no near the same experience that he has, and I think that's a good combination they got with him and KDN on the team.
Halvor, would you like to add to such sentiments?
I mean,
a little turbulent, but
haven't played with Hiko. Haven't spent time around him like you have.
Been a pro player for quite a while.
I can barely remember. It's been that long. No, but I haven't really had that much. I guess close
interaction.
Time with, close interaction with Hiko.
Not too late. You can always
it's not too late. You can always make new friends.
Maybe next season I'm going to be the new addition to Rogue. Who knows?
Spoilers.
Well, I guess I signed an NDA. I was supposed to say that. That might have ruined my shot. Who knows? But I do think it's a good combination. Obviously, you want some mixture of experience to kind of guide the youngsters on that side. Especially with, I guess, one of the players we don't necessarily talk too much about is GMD, right? And he's just a completely fresh leaf in that sense. So to have, I guess, not necessarily a father figure, but somebody who can show him the ropes in terms of Hiko is always beneficial.
Having the veterancy, such a player of Hiko, he has seen the ropes. He has been up and down the ropes. Yeah. But in terms of young guns, we could talk about GMD and perhaps maybe even a player on the Renegades, one that isn't necessarily a young gun, so to say, anymore. He has been around the upper echelon of CSGO for a while. It's been JKS. This guy has shown that he can stay here, but it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride for him to find his footing and solidify himself as a obviously formidable force within the scene.
I think he's a very great player, and a player we talked a few times about on the show, being a player that should have been on a better team. When Renegades half a year ago or a year ago weren't a team that you expected to qualify for Pro League, a team that you would say, if they qualify for DreamHack Open, that would be a success story. You wanted him to go to Liquid, you wanted him to go to Cloud9 or even a better team, or go to Europe for that matter, because he was that good. Nowadays, Renegades found some success, so you could say JK is not having the best path in his career right now. Maybe it has something to do with it. He's giving some more space to some of the other guys. But finally, Renegades are actually showcasing, a great level, and JK is at the events, at the LAN events, and there to prove himself. And that's a little bit of a shame to me, at least, because I feel like he could be one of the better players out there in the world if he actually stepped up just a little bit more when they get to those LAN events.
Well, here is what we have. JKS actually is taking a restroom break. He is taking a little bit of time to himself.
You gotta do the dump sometimes.
Yeah, he had to splash a little bit of water on his face, but he is coming back to the computer now, I'm told. And of course...
Do they have a guy in his room or something?
Yeah, there's actually someone standing by, sending it over. Guys, give me your prediction here on Train really briefly.
I'm going to side with Renegades. They did disappoint me a little bit on Cobblestone, but I think they're going to be able to turn things around. I think Nifty had a pretty much non-existent game on Cobble. I think that should be different, and it has to be, I guess, if they want to go up against a kid who's doing pretty well for himself with the op, but I think that's also going to be the case. So I'm going with Renegades. I'm
going to go for Rogue just because, for the fun of it, they could potentially still qualify, and if they do take down Renegades 2-0, it could be interesting to see how well they fare in the last matchup as well. So Rogue 2-0.
It is the nitty-gritty. It is time to shine, and one man that knows something about shiny objects
that is Moses.
Would be Jason Moses O'Toole and his counterpart here in Harold, or Harry for short. Guys, are we ready for a little bit of Train action? Now, Think about what you're going to say, Jason.
All right, Trace, I'll give you a break. This one time. Yes, it is, speaking of time, it's the squeaky bum time. Where the cheeks clench. You get real worried about dropping out of the playoffs down the stretch if you're Renegades. I shot a message over to my mate Sponge in between these maps, and I said, what's up with your boys? Why do they suck? And he said he wasn't sure. He called them cake eaters, which is something weird in Australian. Harry, thoughts?
I don't really know where to go with that one, Jason. You know, I don't know what any of that is.
None of us do. Either way, second map, and yeah, massively important that Renegades are able to pull this one out. I was thinking in the half, I was trying to think if I could make an excuse for Renegades and say, you know, the announcement that Cobble was switched out and Dust 2 is coming in, maybe they haven't really been, you know, touching Cobblestone. But that announcement just came out like a day ago, so that one doesn't really pan out. I pretty much wiped that excuse out of my memory. But yeah, this now becomes it does turn into kind of a scary situation for Renegades. They can't drop these maps down the stretch right when they're on the verge of qualifying for Dallas. That would be a nightmare. Here's a fast-paced round from them, though, taking matters into their own hand. 3 rushing down Ivy. Some flashbangs from middle. Actually, they're going to go around the backside, and that's going to leave them exposed for Vice. A long route that they have to run, but Vice has nowhere to go from here. But he gets one more anyways. JKS cleans him out, has got to pick up the bomb and make his way to the train. They're going to get a plant, but already a flank coming down ladder, and Nifty's holding it. But will he expect the second player?
They know that Nifty's here. Az is going to be holding the flank round from behind, and this pistol round is back and forth. Cadian and Hiko leading the charge over towards Ivy, trying to brute force their way through. Now time has ticked away on this bomb. They're going to be under pressure. Hiko does have the kit. The Sick being tagged down so low, and Pop Dog going to go and complicate matters. They throw the smoke onto the bomb. Hiko's going to go ahead and get on it. JKS tags him down, and he is able to find it, so now it is just Sick. 1v3. He's able to get rid of Nifty. That'll be it, though. No more frags to be found. Renegades, they find themselves the pistol round. They're going to go up 1-0 early on.
I think that smoke just went like a little bit, bounced a little bit out of the area where Hiko wanted it, as he couldn't find some safety inside the smoke. I think the blood was kind of giving up his location. So nicely done from Renegades. Almost got dicey there. 2 scouts, Cadian and Sick with those. CZ's otherwise for this CT side, and Renegades are going to have to try and sustain through the second round.
Now, I always think that converting this round on your train T side is one where we see it fall through quite a bit, it feels like. The CZ is very, very strong because there's a lot of these kind of close angles you can work it into. And that's a nice start from Nifty. He's going to get rid of 6. That's one of the scouts at the hands of Rogue.
He did get tagged up, though, and that could be a pretty easy cleanup for either Cadian with the scout, who's rotated over towards Ivy position as well. Nifty's still stuck on the right side, so Cadian could find him. It's not going to happen, but even the CZs, I think part of it is, especially when you're on the T side, like, you stay back to make sure you don't get caught off guard by any kind of aggression, but that allows CT players with these CZs to get really close up in a lot of these choke points. It gives them a lot of time to get comfortable, you know, at the bottom of the ladder, maybe out towards Ivy, just behind a train, whatever it might be. So we'll see. 40 seconds left on the clock, and Renegades going to be moving towards Ivy as Rogue has stacked the center bomb site. And so at the moment, it looks like Renegades is going to be relatively safe.
Yeah, they're kind of saved by the fact that Cadian just rotating off this angle. No one else really inside of A either. They're allowed to get into the site. Now Cadian's going to chip down JKS. 2 players are painted up with damage. Now Vice is going to get discovered. He could just drop 1, and this scout is doing so much damage. There's 3 players painted up with damage by it now. It's Hiko and Cadian to do the brunt of that.
I don't think they're going to go for it. I think they want to save these scouts for the next round, see if they can do it all over. Maybe this time they can get lucky with a headshot, but they need this CZ to survive as well. It's actually kind of important because you need some kind of a weapon that would be able to clean up those scouts. Can't rely on both scouts getting, you know, a couple headshots here and there. You need some of those weapons who can finish off and complete kills. That'll be what happens as Renegades back away towards T-spawn, and Rogue are allowed to keep 2 scouts.
GMD goes down on the bomb. I think where he was, it actually hits you for like exactly 4 or 5 damage, if I recall.
That's not ideal.
Yeah, and that is just awful, especially when you look at it. I mean, there was no one nearby. He could have actually just walked that much further away, right? But I mean, he had no information on that. So that's pretty heartbreaking for Rogue. They lose that gun that could have mopped everything up. Now, thankfully, they've thrown one of the scouts over to 6, so Hiko's got himself a CZ carried forward from the previous round. Doesn't exactly leave them, though, with too much to work with, and just going to be a fast play in towards B. Hiko gets spotted, drops the smoke at his feet. Now, that forces them to take this close fight, and Hiko's going to open up with the first, and they don't go through. That's it. They've lost Jacob. They hung him out to dry, and now they back away.
Yeah, Renegades obviously can't know, but if they drop down ladder, there's no way GMD can get more than maybe 1 kill there. And then they actually had Rogue stuck in this awkward rotation. 4 players were... Oh my god, you still... What's he done there? That is a mistake of epic proportions, and that makes this round interesting. Hiko has a UMP, he's passed the CZ over to Vice, and they have 2 scouts, so this becomes very dangerous now for Renegades.
You can just tell the CS gods watching over this one. They've said that Rogue are going to win. That's just how the cookie crumbles. You've still tagged down low. CZ strong as ever. There's only one of them in play. Oh, okay, he's going to go down. Never mind. Maybe not. 4 on 4. He's still painted up with damage. Going to be something to keep an eye on. But as these scouts are forced into closer and closer engagements, they will struggle to find results. Now Sick waiting over here in connector. The flank from GMD could make a big difference. I mean, he's only got himself a USP. And you can see now they're sending Asa to go and check on things. Who wins this fight?
I don't think it matters. The scouts couldn't get in position to do any damage. Couldn't even tag players up. Even if this kill comes through, I think GMD just has to try and save this AK, which not even able to handle. So 3 in a row for Renegades. They get started very, very nicely on the T side, much like Cobblestone as well. It was the CT side on which they struggled. But no ops on the defense means Renegades might have an easier time to start this out. See what they can do. Not a lot of utility. No kits on Rogue either.
Now this looks like it might just be a brute force playing at the B-bomb. So they've got all 5 players going this way. Now GMD and Cadian very, very fast on the rotation if they need to. 2 players so quick in the backline. That could throw some real spanners in the works for Renegades. They're just going to try and blister through. Sick plays the anti-flash. He's able to get 1. Ustillo does trade. Now Hiko has to get 1 here, and he's able to go ahead and get that. Trades go back and forth. Ustillo and JKS left alive. Ustillo, the 1 man inside the site. The Lone Ranger. As they start to come his way, it's Ustillo back against the wall. He's going to go ahead and retreat back into the warm embrace of JKS.
He wanted to get there because he's got the Molotov that he can throw, but little do they know there's 2 smokes on this Rogue side. Now they are going to be 10-second diffuses, and that's a big blunder. That's giving up a kill before you could really do anything about it. Now it's Vice on the bomb. Cadian's going to go down, and there it is. And now it's a round for Renegades. Surely Ustillo going to peek from the same location. It's an easy kill. Molotov not even needed. A 4th for Renegades.
Now, Jason, you said you brought it up. They had 2 smokes in that situation. And I don't even think we saw one of them get thrown out. Or maybe one went down
one went
towards
to lower ramp, yeah. And but nothing on the bomb, certainly. And I think the tough part about that as well, it was going to be a 10 seconds defuse anyways, right? So it's still not going to be easy, even with the smoke, as there's plenty of time to spray a full, magazine of the AK into the smoke. But it is better than nothing, certainly.
Ooh, players go through. As he's able to get 1. Whoa, Cadian does trade. So at least he's got an AK. You can walk away with that out of this round. Maybe that's a bit of damage. He's going to go walking away JKS, and he doesn't check it. Now it is just Sick left alive. 1v4. Maybe find something. There's an AK down over towards T-spawn. You imagine maybe you try getting one of these players that was... I was going to say, yeah, Nifty would have been the key example to go get that AK, but he goes down. That's only a Mac 10, though. To retrieve, and there we go. JKS finds him. 5-0 for Renegades. This is a convincing T-side start, at least.
Was on cobblestone as well.
Yeah.
We're doing deja vu here. We're just, recycling the entire game plan from map 1.
I mean, one thing I will say, right, is like Renegades, they were good at Cobble whenever you think back to when Naf was in the roster. But after he stepped out, they did kind of start to shy away from it that much more, it felt like. Never quite able to replicate the synergy that we saw between kind of Nifty and Naf that made them so great on that map. It certainly isn't there with Nifty and Jacob, right? So, I mean, I guess, you kind of said you were trying to find a reason maybe that map win eludes them. And while that isn't like a completely good reason, I do think they made their fair share of blunders. You can maybe look at it as it was a map they kind of started to shy away from anyway. Now it's been pulled out of the rotation. That's probably quite good for Renegades. And, well, once again, looks like a fast B, back to basics. All 5 players over here, Nifty leading the charge. Are they ready for Sick?
I really like this from Renegades. Look at this positioning. Oh, that's unfortunate. Sick with 2 kills. That's huge. Really well done from Sick. They weren't expecting him up here whatsoever. The op still holding on Nifty for the rotation, but there finally goes Sick. Just a lot of work still for Renegades to do. And actually, they might choose to fall back. As I say that, the bomb moves forward, gets picked off, and Nifty, they can't really hope to do a whole lot. And anywhere he peeks, it's going to be into somebody that he's not expecting. Cadian fires a warning shot. Smoke is about to clear. And Cadian's going to end up taking out the opposing opper, and so is GMD into Aza. First round on the board for Rogue, and again, they do it in pretty convincing fashion. 4 players survive, which means they don't have to rebuy a whole lot, and I think Renegades would have liked more production out of that round.
So, first round on the board for Rogue. And now, can they keep that going forward? Can they start to build up a streak? Vice certainly seems to think so. He's better to get 1. That is it. It's Jacob trades. JKS able to get himself 1 more. Hiko posted up. And this is pretty good for Renegades. They know that there's still 1 man over towards the B-bomb site at least. There's just GMD on A in the meantime, who's up in the heavens. You can see Hiko wrapping back through CT. And they could very easily walk away with just getting this bomb down here. GMD kind of the lone defender of this A bomb site up in the heavens.
It's all down to timing with him. They're coming beneath, and I don't think they'll clear this, but now Aza spots it out. That's a big kill. Even if he didn't get it, at least they would have known he was there, but Hiko's coming in to recover the situation. Jacob just barely gets the bomb down. That's a great headshot to find, and it's Cadian with the op. 1 versus 2. And he's got to go for this, but he's got so many positions in this outer bomb site he's got to check.
Yeah, he was one of the stars for Rogue in the previous map. This time, angles and that timer are his enemy. He's got so many to keep an eye on and so little time to do it. And, does spot Aza. There's a man behind. Cadian in with the flick now, a 1v1. And surely there's no way. He taps the bomb. Aza goes in, and Cadian's going to find it. I think there's just enough time on the defuse as well. Cadian, he's gone and done it. Locks in the second round for Rogue. How on earth has he managed that? That is massive. He might have been feeling ill coming into this matchup. And with disgusting plays like that, he's certainly not been feeling any better. My God, look at this. That was unreal.
I feel like this is one of those rounds that only Renegades can lose when the pressure is on. That's so impressive that they're able to not close that round out. A 2 versus 1 outer bomb site, trains in the open. Just needed a couple more seconds and Cadian's able to do it. That is going to be so crushing for Renegades, because this happened in the first map as well. Remember, they had such a huge lead and they lose to CZs. You can't drop those kind of critical rounds. That's one of the rounds in this game that'll have huge impact on who can win it in the end. Renegades would love to do a response here, but that nade just shuts down really any possibility of it. They are so softened up. Sick has a AWP, but Hiko will be able to spray down multiple, but he's blind. Nicely done from Renegades. Yusila with the entry kill, the op transitioning over, but he's blocked up by smoke. Cadian's going to be the first rotator over, and he's got an op as well. Not very wieldy. The M4s need to get involved, and they need to do it quickly as Sick makes progress. He's going to get the planter, and Rogue is recovering so nice in this round. Finally, all these frags are being cleaned up. It's just JKS. Even if he gets 1, he's not going to get much more than that. So Nicely done as Renegades found the entries, found the aggression, but couldn't build upon that initial success.
Well, now Rogue bringing out this double op setup. Going to be between Sick and Cadian once again. Renegades, they've gone for the buy. They get the bomb plant in the previous round, which does at least facilitate a decent buy here along with the loss bonus. They've started to build up. And I like this from Azza. Look at him go. He's fast out from main. Sick going to go peeking into B. Stands in that Molotov. So he's been chipped down. It looks like it's going to be a fast play from Renegades. They like to keep things moving quickly today. They're not waiting around. They're going to try and overpower Rogue. GMD stares into the flash, and he is rewarded for it. Nifty going to double down. Trying to lead by example, and now it's Ustillo inside the site. Does take the fight, wins it out. Vice still in the back line, and Vice, Ustillo 3. Not 3-2 rather, but still, that is unreal. And now it's Sick, 1 versus 2. What a round this has been. So incredibly back and forth. And Sick just waits down in Pop Dog. Bomb plant not yet coming in. It's going to be Nifty to get that down. Sick starts to creep forward. Nifty just locking it down the angle. Smoke goes down. Now they surely know where Sick's coming from. Oh, you almost feel like a shot could come through any second from Nifty, but it doesn't. Not yet. He holds close to the outside of the smoke. Sick walks into it, and Nifty, 3 kills for him, 2 for Ustillo together. That's a 6th round for Renegades.
Awkwardly played from Sick in that 1-on-2 in my opinion, but it's hard to kind of criticize it too much. I mean, his teammates, this should have never happened. Ustillo should have never been able to do this. The spin around is just gorgeous. You're not even looking, it just transfers right over so quickly. So Rogue, back foot again. Everyone below $500 in the bank behind this buy, but they do have a chance to turn this round, to turn this half in their favor. 3-6, they need to recover here. Vice waiting for that flashbang. Surprises Nifty, I think, but Cadian was forced back. So the bait and switch couldn't have any impact. And Renegades are going to have a man advantage to start this round.
Yeah, it feels like all the Aussies are a fan of going fast today. Because I even saw I saw Chad in the gym earlier, which feels unusual. It's not his usual habitat.
He's been working on getting it more and more regular.
I tell you what, he was gunning for it. He was on the little cycling machine.
Yeah.
When I looked, he'd done like 30 kilometers or something ridiculous. He was really going for it. Trying to cycle home, it feels like. Here's GMD. He's going to send JKS home. Finds one. KD going to answer back. Hiko, auto shotgun. Love to see it through the smoke. Hiding up close. And oh, he spotted Azza. Okay, that's not the range you want to be taking the fight with the auto shotty. He's in a very, very tricky spot now. Players behind, players in front. And he will fall to Jacob. Just GMD and Sick left alive. GMD 1v3. Double peek out from Azza and Jacob. Renegades going to lock themselves in a 7th round.
Listen, we've been seeing the auto shotgun more and more these days, and I'm fine with it. Train is going to be a little bit difficult to make it work, as you can see there. There's you're very limited in where you can pick a spot to take the fights, and if you're not in that correct spot, everything else pretty much sucks. So, tough round for Hiko.
Train is definitely, you know, I think there's like 2 really good spots for it in this map, and then the rest are just awful, right? Like you have Pop Dog, and then you kind of have the inner bomb site. There's 2 places I could really see it working, maybe. You can make a case for Ivy, but it kind of becomes a bit tricky if they start to push out through main. This round, Renegades have got that B-bomb, so they've got it locked down. It looked like Ustillo maybe could have got caught off guard, and that would have been a way for Rogue back into this, but not the case. Renegades just overrun B, and with players already so far aggressive, it feels like you really have to go out of your way to throw this round away.
Yeah, but now you have to worry about, if you're Renegades, is keep all these guns, don't let any fall into the hands of Rogue. It's a risk from Azza there, but a relatively safe risk, although now that he's dinked up, he should get more passive. And nice adjustment as Cadian turns the corner. And they should be able to get away without losing anything, and they do. The lead is now up to 5. Renegades 8 to Rogues 3.
I mean, this buy from Rogue is pretty poor in the grand scheme of things. They have pretty limited utility. 3 smokes. They've already gone ahead and thrown out 2 of those. And Six going to try and go aggressive here and B. That flash, I think, bounces off of him, but they don't actually have the idea that he's there. Vice falls down an Ivy. Hiko's going to try and answer back. Nifty out from main. That's a nice flick round on Acadian. Surely he doesn't find anything else. It's JKS to shut down GMD. Hiko's still causing them problems, though, from inside the bomb site. He's not giving this up just yet. Nifty will finally ring down death from atop the train. It's sick. 1v3. Feels like he's having a tough time of things over on the CT side right now, but maybe he looks to try and change that. First frag out on a JKS. Still 2 left to find. It's Nifty and Jacob. Pretty terrifying duo to come up against if you are Sick.
He doesn't have a kit, so he's got to speed this up or look to pick one up off the ground, and neither of those are going to happen. He's just going to back away, not willing to fight for it. You can tell Rogue is a bit more uncomfortable on this map than they were on Cobblestone. Some of these fights are very all or nothing, just kind of going for the home run every single time and not able to convert it too frequently. Renegades continuing to grow this lead as the first half will begin to come to a close. 3 rounds left. And Rogue pretty much can only fight with this M4 that was saved, but they really need rounds. And I think they're going to let Renegades get up towards 10, and then it'll just be buy every single round from there on out, just because you need to put numbers on the board.
Once again, we might even see some aggression come out. Cadian smokes it off over here in the inner bomb site, and he does back away. I think for Renegades now, the important thing is just keep these rounds clean and you know, try and keep this lead, because we saw them. I mean, they were in a very, very similar spot over on Cobblestone. It was a scoreline not too different from this one, and things could very, very quickly get out of hand. We actually saw Fnatic learn that the hard way earlier as well versus AGO for the EU division. Very, very important series for Fnatic, and they looked very, very confident, you know. And
that was funny, though. I feel like when they got into the second map, they thought they'd already been eliminated from possibility of the playoff, and they hadn't been. But like JW put out a tweet right before that second map started that he thought they were like pretty much no longer able to make Dallas. So that might explain some of the wild things they do. And the other explanation might just be, yeah, it's Fnatic. They just do that from time to time. Renegades, though, certainly in the last map, eventually ran out of money, which was what allowed Rogue to make a comeback. Not wanting to let that happen again, and doing a very good job of it, as all 5 players still alive, and all 5 players still with 100 HP.
And yeah, I mean, while we have actually the lone Dane in this squad up on the screen, what's your opinion on these Optic roster shuffles, rather?
It's kind of cool. I'm excited to see Yugi and Snappy kind of with a new Danish team. That heroic roster just seemed to kind of, they haven't played with Yugi in a while. Valdi had left for North sometime before that, so they'd lost to like a lot of the firepower, a lot of the things that made them like kind of an interesting team. So I don't fault the departures at all. I think the Optic team will obviously it'll do great in North America, and I think we're going to see it down the stretch in these last few weeks of the season. We'll see it pretty much immediately, which is pretty cool. Outside of that, can't really say a whole lot until we see him play.
Yeah. I think it does make them a much more exciting prospect, though, having, you know, that. And now just Danish roster over in NA.
Yeah, it's tough, though, because you have, I mean, yeah, I think it's equally as exciting just because, like, Shazam was kind of a similar opera to Yugi in terms of how aggressive he was, in terms of, like, the kind of fights he liked to took. So I don't think too much changes there. I think Snappy is the big one as an experienced in-game leader, you know, definitely over Stanislaw. And then also remember they brought in Rugga in place of I'm a Pet as well. So the whole new leadership, a whole new kind of thought process on how to play, and it's now 100% Danish. So you know there's that. Not always a good thing.
Danes love Danes, so that's always going to help the team out. And here's Nifty leading the way.
They tried this earlier, and they got exactly what they wanted, but they weren't able to win it. And I think if he jumps down dry like he did last time here, someone's going to go down. As the Opper, as Sick is still here, that's a nice hold. That's a nice opening kill.
Yeah, Six going to keep aggressive forward as well. Can he find anything else? Yeah, he can. Jacob caught out in the open. At this point, he backs away. Going to wait for the rest of the team to come on through. They've got a comfortable two-man advantage. Sick has set them up perfectly for this retake. Nifty toying with the idea of going out for a peek. The flash goes high. He's going to try and take the fight, and Cadian picks him off as a result. So now it is just JKS and Azza. 2v5. This is not an easy round by any stretch of the imagination. The Molotovs rain in on the bomb. Smoke there to cancel it out. There is a man on it. Azza falls. JKS going to go charging in. Have to deny the defuse. He has denied it now. There's no time left. And JKS, how's he done it? 1v5. 1v3 rather. 2v5 in the long run. And what a play from JKS. He gets there just in the nick of time. And oh my goodness, Renegades in with an 11th round. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, they snatched one away. That's really, really cool. Nicely done from JKS. Just highly aggressive. Ignore all the rest of it. Make sure you get that diffuser. That is beautiful. The bomb really being a teammate there for Renegades. And Rogue's got to be frustrated. They had it all. They had the smoke on the bomb to prevent the Molotovs. It worked perfectly. Just couldn't account for JKS. 11-2-3 as Renegades look to right the ship here in this second map and make sure they don't plummet too far down these standings. Still possible that they can get eliminated. Sick losing out on that trade. He wanted to find that kill really badly and was oh so close. This is a tough spot for Katie, and he's pretty much committed here. Will you still see where this nade comes from? Yes, he will, and he's going to go find that one. Unfortunate timing for Cadian, but he does take a risk just throwing the nade randomly. And the bomb will get planted, and no real chance for Vice and Hiko to get back into it. There is a kit on Hiko, but 2 on 4. So many flashbangs and Molotovs on the Renegade side. Hiko's going to come right through to his death. And that'll be it. It's going to be a 12-3 half.
This is a much better performance from Renegades than what we saw over on Cobble. Now, they move on to the CT side, and we know they have a shaky relationship as we saw on Cobble. It was the CT side that kind of let them down there, but this time, 12 rounds to your name means the pistol round can kind of decide your fate. And it is a much more kind of wild card round. On the back of that alone, we could see them split the series 1-1.
Yeah, Renegade seems much more comfortable on train. That whole T-half as well was just like an increased amount of confidence, an increased amount of Renegades wanting to take control of the map and being, you know, the dictators of all the action. Saw some of those rounds towards that lower ramp at the inner bomb site between Nifty just jumping down, and you could see their 3 players is sitting right around 94 ADR for Renegades, so very spread effort as well. I think Renegades will be able to handle this. This is going to be another one of those tough maps where it's not as easy. We've seen Rogue a couple times like to try those timing rushes. We saw it on the pistol round. Might see it again here. We saw a rush on the 4th round of Cobblestone. Whenever their opponent was low on economy, they kind of did a really fast-paced round, and I think that's going to be harder to pull off on train throughout the entirety of the half.
Oh, here's Rogue setting up for the inner hit. All 5 players here. They've got 1 flash to try and make this a reality, and it does hit. But Azza, ooh, there's a lot of guns looking his way. They just go hopping by. JKS, that's a few missed shots, and those are the shots you can't afford to miss. Vice gonna go out and find him. Bomb goes down, 5 versus 4 in the retake. When you look at how little utility Rogue had heading into this, this is very impressive. Vice, ooh, 3 kills now. He's on fire. As he locks in the hat trick. Wants to try and get more done. The Glock's not meant for this range. Almost a 4th, but Cadian steals it away. Jacob only manages 1. And Rogue, they've locked themselves in the pistol round at least. I think they had 1 flash heading into that take, and they managed to get it all.
Yeah, that 1 flash did just enough to force the USP and connector back away from the angle, and then he would have to re-peek into so many Glocks, and didn't feel like messing with that whatsoever. Nicely done from Rogue. Should be a... Well, we'll see if they can convert this one. Deagles are out, so are CZs for the CT side. Sick is going to spot them in the open. He's brought 1 down very low. He follows it up with a kill, and 3 quick kills for Rogue. Make that 5, all within the first 20 seconds.
That is probably the fastest anti-eco I've ever seen. At least versus like an actual force buy. That was very, very quick indeed. Good stuff. Always a fan of a nice... I just like getting these rounds out of the way. And that's exactly what happened there, you know. That took, what, 20 seconds, 15 seconds? Love to see it. And now it is just USPs, a chance for Cadian to amount some stacks of cash. He charges in with the Mac-10. Where we see bodies, he sees money. He is charging on through. There's one. Okay, he's going to go down. JKS able to find him. And Rogue, in the meantime, just going to slip into the B-bomb so they get this for free.
Important to note, Nifty has 3,400. He saved in that previous round, so he'll have the AWP in the fourth round here. In the next round. Obviously, that'll be a priority for Renegades throughout the half, no matter how long it lasts. And yeah, here they're just trying to force any kind of a rebuy. See if they can pick up an AK-47 would be lovely. I think even a Glil they'd be fine with because it'd give them some extra utility, but they've still got to get through Sick, who's at risk of losing his own rifle. Down the timer, and there's JKS. He's got some bonus money. Swaps out for the AK-47, and that is a perfect find. I'm not entirely sure why he's sticking around, but he's getting more kills because of it. He's going to clean them all up. They're going to lose the round, but that's huge. Well done from JKS. Quad kill on the round. And small mistake here for Rogue early on.
Yeah, especially when you think about how clean cut they win the round versus the force buy from Renegades and then get butchered on a round where it's only USPs. Now they kind of lost that comfort money, that feel-good buffer that they had. It's gone. Interesting to note, bit of like a collision there getting through the door. It's going to slow them down, getting out towards the A bomb site. I was curious, maybe Cadian, if he was going to go for a fast peek into connector, that could have actually netted him a kill. But he is not. He's instead elected to go ahead and kill Nifty at the B bomb site. You know, eternally mixing things up. Now they go charging on in. JKS fully flashed. He's able to get himself two and now backs away. He's dropped the bomb. That is awful for Rogue. JKS just sits on it. Sick. Toying with the idea of taking the peak. They're going to lose Cadian as well on this flank in from Ustillo. JKS drops one more. And it is just Hiko left. 1v4. Wondering where this round went oh so wrong for Rogue.
That's huge back-to-back rounds for JKS. I think it'd be funny to know what would have happened if that same situation with an M4, because I think he got the benefit of an AK-47 headshot while he was blind that helped him stay alive and build upon that first kill. So if he'd had an M4, maybe he wouldn't have had or been that impactful while blind. And Hiko now not able to get anything. So that previous round having a big impact, and now look at the money on this Rogue side. They're going to have to give this round up. 13-6. Renegades get an inch closer to map point to splitting the series, which is not what Rogue would have liked. They needed those two maps to make a play for Dallas. And actually, you can see they want to go for the win. So they invest the CZs, the Galil on GMD. Complete force buy out of Rogue as they just need to make some kind of a miracle happen. Even then, it's a long road back.
Yeah, no, the road is not only long, but it's paved with danger. As opposed to concrete. And
Or safety.
yeah, or safety.
Roads are never paved with safety, are they?
No, they are not. No, you know, especially not in this instance. This is the most dangerous road I can think of, Jason. It's like, and I've heard that I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. I was trying to make some sort of like Australia reference, just going to say how deadly it is out there. It does sound pretty dangerous, by the way. You know, Chad was reading Animal Facts earlier. Maybe that much more uneasy about just being bitten by some mysterious creature and dying.
We didn't see any of those nefarious creatures the last time. Is this a glitch? JKS only has a pistol, so maybe dropped a weapon and forgot to rebuy. Maybe, I don't know what happened, but that's not great. He's only got this USP to fight with, and he's able to help Ustillo find a kill. Trouble is next Sick, but Alza's here, and actually, this little USP blunder out of him doesn't really pan out to have any kind of adverse effects on the round whatsoever. He picks up an AWP for free, going to prevent that from having to be rebought. Rogue is going to be happy with the plant, but that's really the last time they can be happy without a victory in a round. That'll help them just a little bit as the losing bonus builds up. And again, I think if you're Rogue, if you're force buying in that previous round, you're kind of force buying here as well. Will be interesting to see what they decide to do as they're down 8.
Yeah, this is a big time performance now from Renegades. You know, key players stepping up. JKS, you still really having a great time of things in this map. And what a time to do it as well. I mean, they're desperately trying to lock in their spot over in Dallas for the playoffs. Now it's the eco in from Rogue. They're going to attempt to try and take this through to overtime, buying in the next round. Nice to kickstart this one with the Deeg. Doesn't spot anything on that first peek. Going to try boosting a man over the top, perhaps? No. They have the option to do it. No one there from Renegades. Going to go peeking in. Actually, Six going to go out and find Azza. Overextending in towards main, and the trade can't come through from Ustillo. That is a blunder. Look at this flank from JKS, though. Keep an eye on that. He's gone all the way through B. They have all the information in the world. The thing is, it feels a bit questionable to go for that aggression in towards main when you have so much information. And now, Rogue is starting to barrel in towards CT. This B bomb site's wide open. They could get this for free. Nifty's desperately trying to rotate on in to cut them off. And here we go, players coming his way, but he only manages one. Jacob tries to step up to the mark, and he has to in a big way. Hiko's got on pass with the bomb. JKS inside the site. Gonna shut Hiko down, and suddenly it's Cadian. 1 versus 2.
The longer he takes to get into this bomb site and try and make a play, the more likely it is that Renegades is going to be aware of the possibility of his position. So he's looking for a gun, and now he's slid out. Not spotted just yet. His footsteps should be able to tell his opponents where he is, and Jacob just sneaks out and grabs that easy headshot to the side. 15-6, Renegades, 9 map points. So they're looking to even things up.
Yeah, buy comes in for Rogue. They waited. They put their everything into this round. All their money, their hearts, their minds. It's all here. All their eggs in one basket.
Their balls.
Those two. Why not? Load it all in, Jason. That's what I say.
Take a...
Okay, well, here we go. 15 to 6.
Take a timeout, Harry.
Just fantastic, isn't it? Oh, there's Azza and Ustillo. Changing the topic.
Yes. Yes, 4-on-3 scenario for Renegades. Bomb is dropped outside by E-Box, and yeah, now Jacob's going to be making the play, and it's all Renegades from here. Sick is the only one left, and actually he gets 2 kills, but it is going to get closed out. So Renegades bounce back on train, even up the series. They go 1 for 1 on the night. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know exactly what that does for Rogue's playoff chances. That's what we have the boys on the desk for, as they kind of wander in to laugh at you, Harry.
Yeah, you know, wouldn't have it any other way though, Jason.
Yeah?
Good stuff.
That's what you live for?
Yeah, that's what I live for. I like to get bullied.
Okay.
Go for it. Not bullied, like beat up. That's the one.
Beat up.
Yeah.
Verbal punching bag that you have become. But there's no taking back what you just said out loud. And hopefully somewhere out there, someone clipped that and they will share it to us. In fact, you can share it to us by using hashtag ESL Pro League. Go ahead and find out what Harry said.
That's a transition.
And then we'll check it out. So, Renegades have done it. They have found themselves the second map of the series, where in the first map on Cobblestone was a different story. Talk to me a little bit about what we saw here, fellas.
We saw Rogue being on the back heels the entire game. We saw Rogue not getting any foot of the game, getting any grasp of the game on the CT side. Train is a map where you want to have a good CT side. You want to get momentum, you want to feel that you control the money, and you want to feel that you control the pace, or at least can orchestrate a defense against whatever you face, and they couldn't do anything. One of the 3 rounds on the CT side was Cadian winning a 1 versus 2 round. He never should have won, and that tells the story. If you only get 3 rounds on the CT side, and one of them being around you even should have won, it was a disaster of a CT side from Rogue. So didn't give any grab whatsoever on the CT side, and that really set the tone for the rest of the game. When you only have 3 rounds on the CT side, there's no way of coming back, and we saw that Renegades being very clinical, closing out the game in big fashion, and deserving to get this 1-1.
I mean, we can look at this game as an example of what happens when Renegades players are coming online just a little bit more than one at a time. JKSU still having a good showing here, and certainly doing their end of the deal.
Yeah, and obviously like, one of the players to kind of start them off as well was Nifty. Again, we talked about him having a slow game on Cobble. He came much more into it earlier on and set them up for a really nice first half. And as you mentioned, yeah, JKS and JKS actually having 2 good maps in a row. Again, talking about consistency, he might be one of the players who every now and again just goes a bit quiet. So good to see him kind of having 2 good showings in a row. But yeah, I think it comes down to the things we highlighted in the pregame, the fact that it's a very different map in the sense that you can't necessarily have a bad half and easily get back into it as you probably could have done on a map like Cobblestone. You know, depending on how good your T-sides are. Train is a bit more easy to lose track of in that sense. And that's really what it felt like for Rogue. They never got a footing, and that's when you get into, or when you get results like this.
A slow start, or better yet, no real start. The first half was just such an uphill, I would say landslide, but obviously we're online. So it was a landslide. You guys like that one?
Oh, that was
I hated
cheeky.
it.
You guys always hate on me,
Didn't
man.
quite top Harry's comment. But,
No, that was absurdity. I hope someone clipped
He
that.
said something with balls and loading it all in. So
Yeah, it was just a little much, wasn't it? Well, Train does go in the way of the Renegades, of course. That does lead us into our next match, which we will be taking a look at. What do you got?
I just want to point out that Rogue now can't qualify for the finals. It's over.
It's over.
It's done.
It's
Pack
over.
it up.
Pack it up. They had a decent season. Let's round it off quickly. Decent season. We in the beginning started to talk about how they were playing to avoid relegation, and they did a good job avoiding the relegation. They brought themselves to a position where they potentially could have qualified for the finals in Dallas. It was in a short margin, but losing to Renegades right here efficiently put them out of the run for that one. So Rogue finishing the season in the middle, which is acceptable for them. Next season, hopefully they can do better, and it's okay.
And they did fight through relegation this last season, of course,
did.
through the Mountain Dew League land, the quickest, surefire path to the pros. But nonetheless, let's take a look and kind of try to hone in a little bit on some of the numbers. Because ultimately, this does it for that series. That is exactly right. It does push Rogue out of contention. We're going to see a little head-to-head here between Rogue and Renegades across Train.
Yeah, and as you already alluded to, JKS and you still having good games. Nifty as well, even though I guess ADR isn't comparable to JKS and you still, I think he did a much better job of actually asserting himself into the game. JKM didn't really have the best of games, wasn't necessary, I guess, at this point in time. And for Rogue, it just wasn't enough from the entire squad. I think they kind of just gave it all they had on Cobblestone. That was their one shot at grabbing a map, and they did so. So they should be okay with how it panned out. Obviously, would have liked a better Train showing, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Is it, though?
It is.
Well, I tell you what it is. We're going to be going to a short break here from the Xfinity Analyst Desk. We're going to be coming back to a little bit of Optic versus Dignitas, one of David and Goliath proportions, I do believe. One team in contention for the playoffs, and one team just trying to stay ahead above water. And with that, we're going to go to a quick break, so make sure you're with us when we come back.